All right, it's an excellent day, family, different parts of the world. Dr. Harry Benjamin here on a Monday morning with the Millionaire Mindset Tips. Lessons that came from the 3 decades, almost 3 decades of business experience that I've had, but particularly those comparisons between my first 10 to 15 years in business and what I've discovered over the last decade or so. So I'm sharing these tips and ideas of what it is that you could do to minimize some of the mistakes that I ran into. One of the things that I was discussing with a friend of mine yesterday, we're talking about entrepreneurship, and what became clear is that there has been no school that focused on entrepreneurship because in our education that we got coming up in school, it was mainly about going to work for someone else or going to work in the government. We did not get a guidance on how to be entrepreneurs, how to deal with money, and all the various things associated with multiplying and growing money. So over the years that I've learned to become an entrepreneur, I realized that after I left medical school, I was talking to my friend, and in chatting and having that discourse, when I left medical school, I realized after talking to her that, man, I did not read any personal development books after medical school. In fact, when I finished medical school, I pretty much stopped reading. I got into business, and because I was earning millions of dollars, I really thought I knew, everything I needed to know about being an entrepreneur. Because when you're having success, sometimes you feel you're the stuff, right? So what had happened is that I didn't realize that during those years, I was literally, just really running on an autopilot of the very little information that I knew and no reading. My wife and I used to go to the pharmacy in this area called Manor Park in Jamaica. And, we used to go to that area and almost, a couple times a week, we'd just pop into the pharmacy. And the books, we didn't buy any books. What we bought from the pharmacy, we always went in on the magazine rack. I'd buy, the latest, I can't remember the name of those magazines now, but the ones that featured the latest cars, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, and all the latest models and the future models of cars that were coming out. That was what I was feeding into my subconscious mind. Also, we were buying books, about luxury homes and looking at the nicest homes in the world. And later on, we went on to build a $1.7 million home and bought the Maserati and all of that stuff. But it's because I was conditioning myself with those images. I was not reading. And so when the business started slowing down on us in 2005, 2007, and we did some real estate investment. We lost millions of dollars trying to get into real estate. We made some money at first, but eventually lost it, and it pushed us into bankruptcy. So that experience, what I gathered from that later on, what I got through that particular window, is that I needed to learn about real estate. So I invested about $70,000 on real estate investor education. And after doing that, I realized the mistakes I'd made. So if I had the education before I made the investments in real estate, I would not have lost all that money. But the great thing that came out of that $70,000 that I paid for the education is this book. I got one book out of it. There's a gentleman, Marco Rubel, and he created his real estate investment education academy. And I went, even Las Vegas, I think he had one session there, and we flew over there and learned and and all of that at a boot camp. But the book that came in his box, of videos and all the things that we had as a part of the package, he put Think and Grow Rich in that box. And ladies and gentlemen, after I read that book, I was like, wow, where is all this information? Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you've never read it, then you're way behind the curve. Ladies and gentlemen, that's like the benchmark, the foundation book of personal development. Yes, there are many other books today, but most of them spawn themselves from that book. And ladies and gentlemen, man, I really wish that I had that book when I was a teen, because it went into all the areas relating to what will make you successful. And it doesn't matter which area of life, whether it's your family, your personal self, your business, your community, whatever, your purpose, your passion. It is really comprehensive and a detailed study of 500 of the top CEOs in the world just before the Great Depression, and why they were so successful and why they made it through that era. So I'm recommending highly, guys, that you make sure that you're reading personal development books. Even from the time you're a teenager, we have had our children starting to read because we have realized how much of a gap we had in that. So I had a huge gap, ladies and gentlemen, where for years after graduating from medical school, I was not reading anything. And it wasn't until I got that book, Think and Grow Rich, that I realized how much I was missing. And once I got on that pathway, I read about, because I felt like, man, I need to catch up. So I read about 100 books in a very short time frame, just trying to digest as much information as I could about spirituality, about business, understanding how the subconscious mind works, and just really getting clarity on how to master this game of life. Now later on, of course, it benefited me greatly. But what I also realized that we need a practical side to those books as well, not just reading the information, because reading information is great, but you have to be engaged in some activity that will allow for you to apply that information. And in my experience, the best area is for you to get involved in a network marketing business. It doesn't have to be the one that I'm in, but I recommend that you get in one if you're not in one already, because it has the practical side to personal development. That's another story for another day, because I think I'm over the time. I normally like to keep these short. But ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you're reading. What are you reading? The books that you're reading in 18 to 24 months, your life will start to reflect the information that you have learned and applied in your life. So it's very important, right? Our life will always reflect three areas as we move ahead: the people we surround ourselves with, the books that we're reading, and what it is that we're listening to and viewing as information that we're feeding into our subconscious mind. So I hope that was useful, ladies and gentlemen. Just giving you a little tidbit from that 10 years, became a medical doctor in 1993. Didn't read anything until maybe 2007. What a big gap of feeding myself magazines. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got the picture here, right? I don't throw out your magazines, right? Get some books. Replace them with personal development books and load up yourself with a library, a huge library of what you're going to read. And man, I'm so grateful and thankful for that experience now. And I'm sharing that with you, and hopefully you got it. All right, bye-bye. Until next time. Bye for now.